Hello everyone, this is Golden Veins weekly stock market condition and I'm your English commentary Jay Choi again. Today we're going to take a look at the stock market condition for September week 2. And here we go. KOSDAQ. Despite the quadruple witching day, meaning expiration date of the 4 options, 14 days of purchasing trend of foreign investors and program trade closed the market strong. It is up by 19.65 compared to the 9th and it ended 1994.32. Individuals and financial institutions purchased 1,576 billion and 2,165 billion, and foreign investors sold 3,968 billion. For program trade, 848 billion arbitrage has been purchased and 3,968 billion non-arbitrage is purchased, so showing a total of 3,234 billion purchased with security. Current closing conditions for each industry. Most sectors are closed strong. Steel metal, which was bullish last week, is now actually weaker. On September 12th, Thursday, POSCO sold more than 800 billion of its stock for some fluid fund for a short period, and because of that, it is closed weaker. Food and beverages, fabric and clothing, chemistry, medication, non-metal minerals, machinery, electronic, distribution industry, electric gas industry, construction industry, transportation warehouse, financial business, bankings, insurance, service businesses, and manufacturing industry are strong. Paper and wooden products, steel metal, and transportation equipment are weaker. Most high rankings are closed strong thanks to huge purchasing trend of foreign investors. Naver with 7.20%, Samsung Electronics 2.40%, SK Telecom 2.08%, 9 companies are closed strong. POSCO with negative 1.51%, Hyundai Mobis negative 2.07%, 4 companies are closed weaker. And lastly, US dollar over Korean won is up by 0.201 compared to the 9th, and it is now 1,087.001. KOSDAQ. Due to the purchasing trend of foreign investors and program trade, it is closed strong. It has increased by 9.78 compared to the 9th, and it ended 530.89. Individuals and foreign investors purchased 122 billion and 36 billion, and financial institutions sold 150 billion. For program trade, it has been mainly non-arbitrary transaction trade and having 2 billion of purchasing security. Current closing conditions of each industry. Many high rankings are closed strong, as Sungwang Band has 6.09% of sharp increase. It actually reached one of the 14 high rankings. Sijin with 5.28%, GS Home Shopping with 5.16%, 7 companies are closed strong. On the other hand, CJENM with negative 4.32%, CJO Shopping with negative 1.40%, 5 companies are closed weaker. And next, United States. Strike on Syria was not the Achilles tendon, but it was rather a favorable factor. September 9th, Monday, NASDAQ actually broke the highest price in 13 years. Fine index of foreign transaction like China and issue of enterprise M&A led the US market. Dow Index, which was fixed because of the Syria incident, broke 15,000 again, while Nasdaq Index reached the highest in 13 years. Before the opening, it was announced Chinese August export is increased by 7.2% compared to that of last year. August Consumer Price Index also increased by 2.6%, which encourages the investors. Japanese second quarter GDP is confirmed that the annual interest rate is grown 2.8%, and including the improvement on current balance, there have been many favorable factors. John Kerry, U.S. Secretary of State, said that the military strike is inevitable to negotiate with Assad government. John Williams, the chairman of San Francisco Federal Reserve, estimated that the labor market is actually getting improved steadily. It is most likely that the quantitative easing is in gradual progress, and the base interest rate is mentioned to be possibly raised in second half of 2015. Selling the department store Neiman Marcus and Coke industry taking over Molex and so on, many favorable factors appear on the enterprise M&A. September 10th, Tuesday. Strike in Syria thought to be the Achilles tendon behaves as a favorable factor. Both Chinese August industrial production and retail sales are in good conditions and the market is close strong. Syria accepted the suggestion from Russia giving up chemical weapons and watched over by the international society, which is a huge favorable factor. In US, the request of striking committee demonstrates Barack Obama's possible breakthrough. The remark that a military action could be given up depending on the changes in Syria is also a favorable factor. France is forming a resolution to UN Security Council, the forfeit of chemical weapons in Syria. As the Security Council led this resolution, US agreed on this as well. Conservative leadership, which has shown a reservation so far, declared opposition about military intervention and suddenly changed to a diplomatic response. And lastly, September 11th, Thursday. Most representatives at G20 summit meetings in Russia opposed the strike in Syria. As Bank of England and European Central Bank stick with relaxed currency policy and US shows a fine economic index, New York stock market is strong for 3 business days. G20 summit meeting is held and the strike is still uncertain. As it is related to the September decrease in quantitative easing, the economic index has an unstable factor. At the meeting, Putin, the president of Russia, emphasized that an individual action should not be allowed. As the committee agreed, President Obama is preparing for the strike, but it still depends on the general meeting on the 9th. BRICS had a meeting before G20 discussing how to minimize the damage of the advanced country's currency policy. They also agreed on minimizing the worldwide economic effect that would be caused by the strike in Syria. ADP, the private Employment Investigation Office, said August employment is increased by 176,000. Also, Minister of Labor said newly recorded unemployment benefit is decreased to 323,000, which is a favorable factor. And lastly, PMI was 58.6, increased a lot compared to the value of 56 on July. This is the highest value since 2005. Dow Index is increased by 312.94 compared to the 9th, and it ended 15,376.06. S&P 500 index is increased by 16.28 compared to the 9th also, and it ended 1687.99. Nasdaq General Index is increased by 16.00 and it ended 3722.18. New York Mercantile Exchange and West Texas Intermediate is down by $1.18 and it ended $108.20 per barrel. London ICE future market, the North Sea Brent gas is down by $1.74 and it ended $112.89 per barrel. COMEX gold future price is decreased by $71.50 and it ended $1318.50 per ounce. And next, Europe stock market. Strike in Syria is the issue for this week, and the regular meeting of Free Open Market Committee is the issue for the next week. As the concern of Assyria is relieved this week, representative nations are closed strong. September 10th, Tuesday. Thanks to Chinese Fine Economic Index, the market is closed strong. Due to Chinese favorable economic index and the possibility of diplomatic resolution in Syria, Europe's stock market is closed strong. National Statistics Bureau of China announced its industrial production is increased by 10.4% compared to last year. August retail sales is also increased 13.4%, which proves that the economic growth of China is not retreating. The chance of diplomatic resolution rather than military intervention is very, very noticeable. Syria accepted the suggestion of Russia dropping its chemical weapon, which is a huge favorable factor. John Kerry, again, the Secretary of State, announced there will be an attack as long as Syria gives up the chemical weapon. September 11th, Wednesday. As the European Central Bank sustained its basic low interest rate, the market is closed strong. Mario Draghi, the chairman of the European Central Bank, had a press interview after the financial policy meeting, saying that the basic low interest rate will be maintained for a while. In US, the number of newly recorded unemployment benefit is better than expected, which brings a good influence in Europe as well. As G20 summit meeting is held in Moscow, stock market is sharply increased by 3.17%, which is also a favorable factor. BRICS agreed to raise a common fund of $100 billion in case of emergency. And lastly, September 12th, Thursday. Due to the arbitrage, it is staggering, but the market still remains strong. As Eurozone announced a poor economic index, arbitrage transaction appeared according to a rise in such a short period. Europe Statistics Institution Eurostat said that July industrial production is decreased by 1.5% compared to that of June. EU committee agreed to give the authority power of 6,000 banks in Eurozone to the European Central Bank, which is a favorable factor. From 2014, European Central Bank will supervise the banks in Eurozone exclusively. A meeting between US and Russia regarding diplomatic measure for Syria incident is the biggest issue so far. For United Kingdom, but the 100 index is increased by 53.06 compared to the 9th, and it ended 6583.80. For Germany, DAX 300 index is up by 233.10 points, and it ended 8509.42. For France, CAC 40 index is increased by 74.17 and now is 4114.50. US dollar over euro is up by $0.0021 and it ended $1.3267. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for listening. This has been Jay Choi, and you guys have a great day. Thank you very much.